Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Joe Miller alongside Trevor Quickshot Henry, and it's time for the third game of the day as Fnatic take on the Super Hot Crew. This is the third time that these teams will do battle this split, and it's the Super Hot Crew who currently hold the lead 2-0 over Fnatic. Last week the Super Hot Crew managed to go 3-1 during Super Weekend. Whilst losing a game to Alliance, they did manage to take down SK Gaming, the Wolves, and Millennium. Now, interestingly, this is the first time that Super Hot Crew has actually put back-to-back wins together since week 2.
It's a very long time, and the up and down nature of the Super Hot Crew just continues to shine through, and it's manifesting itself in their in-game decision-making. When you look at the team, they've had some great calls, they've had some bad calls, and the thing that stands out for me is that they're learning from all of those decisions, and they're adapting. That's what continues to impress me. Something that is showing a marked improvement in their game is Mr. Rawls. He's continuing to do fantastic, and against Fnatic in particular, he's got a 20 KDA versus Reckless and the rest of the team. 6 kills, 14 assists, and only 1 death across 2 games. Truthfully, it doesn't appear that Mr. Rawls is pressured by Fnatic at all. He's able to perform to his best, and that's something Fnatic will need to sort out if they want to secure their first win of the split against the Super Hot Crew.
And on the topic of Fnatic, well, they really stepped up their game last week, going 4-0, and were the first team to secure a perfect Super Week all split long. They really stepped up their game in every single aspect, really, and reminded everyone of that team that's won the European playoffs 3 times in the LCS.
So the biggest improvement for Fnatic was their massive increase in objective control. In the 6 weeks leading up to the Super Week, Fnatic had only secured 32 dragons in 14 games. So that's an average of 2.28 per game. During the 4 games that Fnatic played in Super Week, they secured 18 dragons. That's an average of 4.5, more than double their previous record, and more than half of their total dragons on the split. Same can be said for Baron. They got 5 in Super Week. They only secured 10 all 6 weeks beforehand. So the better objective control, the smarter decision making, it also led to faster games. 5 minutes quicker, in fact, down from 41 minutes to 36 minutes, which in Europe is a big deal. And in general, it was just the strongest performance that Fnatic have put together, all split long, and we need to see if they can keep it up.
Well, Fnatic comes into this game looking to stop Selfie in his tracks, where the Super Hot Crew believes the key to taking down the Spring Split champions is to deny them their famously strong vision control.
What I learned about Super Hot Crew is that they have the top tier players on their roles.
When Selfie has a good game, he can carry his team on his back, and then he's just going to split push and do his stuff. So usually he's really strong in the game, and we have to send more than 1 people to kill him.
Fnatic is one of the best teams, to be honest. Like, even though they're not at the top of the standings, they have one thing that most of the team don't have. They play with the fog of war that other teams don't do, and that's really hard to play against.
Fnatic has the best vision control in the entire LCS right now. There's times early game when I die for no reason, because there's somehow it's always Yellow Star roaming +1, and suddenly Yellow Star's on my butt, and I'm like, damn.
I believe that our vision control mostly is Yellow's part of the team, and I think he deserves more recognition. They play with your mind. They go 1 man top when there should be 5 men. And they're like, no, there's gonna be 1 man. We know you don't have vision there, and we're just gonna play with your mind. We send 1 there, you go there, we rotate mid, and it's it's hard to explain, but it's how they do, and they're really good at fog of war play. I don't know how they do it, but it's really good.
When it matters, we always show up.
I think that Selfie couldn't really explain what Fnatic do is kind of the point of this one. Fnatic have been absolutely sublime with their vision control.
Yeah, they have been in Super Week. They weren't so much in the weeks leading up to it. Reckless said it, Yellow Star deserves praise. He got MVP last week because he just played out of his mind. We'll see if he can keep up that level.
Indeed. Well, let's have a look at the starting lineups. On the blue side for this game is the Super Hot Crew, with Mima in the top lane, Impaler in the jungle, Selfie in the mid lane, Mr. Rawls the AD carry, and Kasing the support.
And of course on the red side it is Fnatic, with Soaz up top, Cyanide in the jungle, Peke playing the mid lane, Reckless as the AD carry, and Yellow Star as support.
And that brings us to our featured matchup, which is a showdown in the top lane between Mima and Soaz. Now, both top laners deliver solid performance against their opposite numbers, but it's Soaz who is pulling out new champions like the Ziggs in the top lane and Lee Sin during the last Super Week.
And they worked out very well, especially with the changes to top lane. And those unique champions are great for Soaz, but it's actually Mima who's got better stats in this matchup. He's only given up 1 death against Fnatic. And the most impressive thing about Mima for me this split is how solid he's performing all split long against all of his opponents, and considering all of the changes to top lane with champions, with teleport, and playstyle. For me, this matchup is going to be very important in determining which team is going to have that stronger mid game, because it's the roaming top laners that can directly impact map control off the laning phase. If you go back to what Selfie was saying, they should have 5 top, but they've only got 1, etc., etc. It's Soaz and Mima that'll be responsible in either starting those plays or countering them. And that's where my focus is for the Super Hot Crew.
Definitely going to be an interesting matchup up top there. But before we start picks and bans, let's see who you guys voted to win this one. With 84% of the vote, it's Fnatic that leads the Super Hot Crew. We'd also like to remind you guys that you can get seats to join us here in Cologne and watch these games live. Just head over to lolesports.com and click on tickets at the top for all the details.
Very quickly, before we jump into picks and bans, Ziggs has to be a consideration for the Super Hot Crew. Not only did Soaz play in the top lane, but also we've seen Peke playing at mid. On the same token, Lee Sin, with the triumvirate of junglers being so important and the changes now to Spirit of the Ancient Golem, if Lee Sin and Elise make it through, you may see a Lee Sin top and Elise jungle, which would imply Fnatic could go for the option of banning away the likes of Evelynn, denying that away from Impaler. So I think that's probably where some of the focus could be. Hell, they could also go mid lane as well. This is a very difficult pick and ban for both of these teams, but I think Fnatic have more of the advantage because of the champions that Soaz plays up top.
And that's where they've really thrown a spanner into many of picks and bans this last week, because of the fact that the likes of Ziggs, a predominantly mid lane champion and pretty much an only mid lane champion, is now a top lane thought as well in that one. And we see that Ziggs will be banned out there. First, Yasuo taken away from Self. We've seen many a game where he's caused troubles on that champion. Fizz also taken out here by the Super Hot Crew, so not wanting Peke to get that one through, and of course a red side Kassadin ban from Fnatic.
So Syndra is still available for Peke. Peke has been playing Syndra and more frequently of late, but it's a champion that he's played multiple times. He played in the spring split earlier this year, and the only reason I highlight that is with the focus of ban outs in terms of the assassins, it's definitely a champion you could run in. One of the alternatives is Orianna, who Super Hot Crew have just removed themselves. So heavy focus on mid lane champions, meaning if Fnatic ban away the likes of Evelynn, you may see a first pick jungler from Super Hot Crew, or we might even see the double pick junglers on the side of Fnatic. All 3 are still up.
Well, Twisted Fate will be the final ban, keeping that trend alive of really focusing on the mid lane. It's allowed Lulu, though, to actually get through on this one, and we saw Selfie actually playing it in their match against the Copenhagen Wolves. 3-1-15 he ended with that Lulu, so not really a surprise if that does get locked in, but that opens them up to this whole 2 jungle first pick here that Fnatic have been going for.
It's also a difficult situation, because if Soaz wants to run something like Lee Sin, it may even be too early for him to lock it in. You've still got Lucian available, you've still got Twitch available, Braum, Morgana. A lot of alternative champions are still up and running. Something we've also seen from both of the previous games is double teleports from top and mid laners from one of each of the teams that has played earlier today. So I want to see whether or not Super Hot Crew or Fnatic in particular go that route. Fnatic very famed for their map control and their teleport usage last year and earlier this year.
Yeah, the legacy of Charu lives on. The man who, I think we can safely say, really brought that mid lane teleport to things. For Fnatic, though, picking the Gragas, which you've been seeing more and more and more. In fact, in that last game as well, with the Gragas in the top lane. Also, you can never count out a Gragas in the support role. Edward, the one that really went for that one. Either way, we can think about that later. They've taken Lucian as well for Reckless.
The one thing I want to highlight about Gragas for Fnatic is just how nicely that plays into Soaz's champion pool. Soaz has been very outspoken about the bruiser meta, and he's not particularly fond of playing the likes of Aurelia and Trundle. He will play them because he has to, not because he wants to. And Gragas, being that AP champion, being that pokey, annoying, frustrating, get in your face kind of champ, can work in Fnatic's favor.
Yeah.
If the rest of picks and bans goes uncomfortable, they can make that Gragas support and stick Yorick top lane, which is also something Fnatic have done multiple times in the past.
On the other side then, Lulu was locked in there along with Lee Sin, so Impaler will get his hands on Lee Sin this time around, and with Morgana and Lulu that gives Mr. Rolls a chance to go with something that scales super hard into the late game where he's got more protection.
And he has to, because there's not a massive amount of damage on that board. Lulu will get damage in the very late game. Will be able to build himself up. Lee Sin can execute, of course, but if you don't run something like a Twitch or a Cogmore in this scenario, I feel like Super Hot Crew are lacking in damage. You look at Fnatic's squad, Gragas will be equal, if not better damage than Lulu in the mid to late game. Lucian's great damage, Syndra's got great burst, and Evelynn is always going to have that flank potential. So I like Fnatic's composition a little bit more well-rounded, but Super Hot Crew have got the makings of a protect the something, and we just need to see what that something ends up being.
Well, we saw 3 games of Lucian out of 4 from Mr. Rolls last week. The other one that he did bring to the table was Cogmore, so that lock-in really wouldn't surprise me. And currently sat on Mundo, although Kasing has taken this very support-heavy trend of kind of sitting on whatever he really wants until the last few seconds of Champion Select.
Yeah, and we'll see how long, what he decides to swap out. The one thing I want to highlight is Cyanide opted to go for Evelynn over the likes of Elise, who was also available. So this may put an indication on how Fnatic wants to play their laning phase and their mid to late game. Looking for those flanks and looking to displace their opponents with Gragas and single out targets with the likes of Thresh, with the likes of Syndra. So I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Cyanide because there's no front line here. There's no real protection outside of the displacement from Gragas and the peel from Thresh. So if Lee Sin or Mundo get into Fnatic's backline, they can create havoc for Peke and for Reckless.
One thing we always have to note though, and specifically these last 2-3 weeks, Thresh and Yellow Star, that combination, that pick for Fnatic has been so strong. If we look back to the game against Millennium in Super Week, 1-0-15, and he's just been hitting hooks left, right, and center. So good with Thresh right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be very difficult for Super Hot Crew when you look at Lulu, Lee Sin, and Dr. Mundo. They're a fairly linear engaged champions. Yes, Lee Sin is mobile, and he can catch you off guard with those insect-style kicks. But other than that, once a Sonic Wave lands, Yellow can prepare the flay. He can interrupt it. Mundo has to run at you. Lulu needs to speed boost up to you. So if Yellow starts playing well, that's going to be the peel that the team needs. But if he doesn't land the abilities, I think Super Hot Crew can run them down.
And form tells us that Yellow Star will be ready to land those abilities, that's for sure. But guys, with champions locked in, which top lane do you think landed a better champion? Tweet at LOL Esports with hashtag Mima or hashtag SOAS, and we'll see if these lineups manage to sway your votes. Mima going back to Mundo, a champion which, if you remember all the way back to when he first came into the LCS with Ninjas in Pajamas, he was pretty much running only the likes of Mundo, super tanks in this top lane.
And if memory serves, he played it in the opening weeks of the summer split fairly well. It's a champion that's fallen out of favor in the top lane somewhat, but if he gets to that tanky stage with the assistance of Lulu, it's going to be an unkillable Dr. Mundo.
Well, here we go then into game for our third matchup of the day. The Super Hot Crew taking on Fnatic. Fnatic, as we said earlier on, sat in second place, tied with SK. In fact, I think they're even statistically higher than SK now because of SK's loss earlier on in the day, which obviously a win here would propel them into a very nice position sat behind Alliance. Super Hot Crew though, they're certainly still in a bit of a transitional phase, I think we can safely say, despite the fact that they did so well in Super Week. Kasing and the rest of the crew are still building themselves up to the PowerPoint that they want to be in.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it just looks like the Super Hot Crew are this young, talented team, because every time you see them playing, their lanes seldom get dominated. You know, even Selfie, who's somewhat quiet in that mid lane, does very well against these superstars of Peke and Froggen, etc. Mima, I mean, he's won 118 in 2 games against Fnatic. He's only given up a single death. Same with Mr. Raz. So Super Hot Crew have got the individual talent, and it just comes down to that in-game leadership and in that decision-making that can help them either win games or, in some cases, lose games.
Well, let's have a look at the start here, because it's been a fairly pensive one with just a couple of wards down on either side of the map. Fnatic got one down for the blue invade, with the Tribush, and on the ramp as well. Also one on the top side of the map, but it doesn't look like there'll be too much in these early stages from either team, to be honest with you. Mundo going to join Lee Sin on the top side for the Super Hot Crew, and it looks like we wouldn't be seeing no lane swaps either with the 2v2 setup down bottom.
Yeah, so, you know, with the changes in 4.11 to the turret shots being stronger, as well as the experience from lane minions going further, it's just going to reduce the effectiveness. And there's your public vote. A lot of fans for Mima.
Well, Fat Man in me is disappointed at only 19% there for Soaz as Gragas, but we'll see how that one all works out for him. Traditionally, we've seen him run this top lane Gragas before and not been super impressed, but times have somewhat changed on that front, and as you said earlier, definitely become a lot more popular. Yellowstar not messing around here at the start with the harass onto Kasing.
That's a very good positioning. Yellowstar making advantage, or taking advantage of that early flay and range damage you can put down. But I just want to briefly mention that top lane Gragas, because if memory serves, Kevin built top lane tank Gragas in the spring split earlier this year. And I personally was laughing at it. I said, this can't work. This isn't the meta for it. And it ends up working a few months later. And we're seeing Gragas all over the place. And you can see how he's already harassed Mima. He's got a level advantage, and he's going to poke him down with those barrels. And because there's sustain from Gragas' passive, he's also going to have a very good pre-6 laning phase against Dr. Mundo.
Let's see how that one all works out with it being our featured matchup, and the fact that Mima and Soaz as well have been doing very well as of late. I mean, if you look at Soaz's champion picks the last 5 games, you've got 2 times Lee Sin, you've got Ziggs, you've got Gragas, and you've got Yorick. Definitely a different set of champions than a lot of these top laners are in fact running. Down bottom though, as we just took a look there, it's an early advantage for Fnatic and Reckless in particular. 18 to 12 CS over that of Mr. Rolls. Probably to be expected at this stage though. Thresh Lucian always a mean lane.
Yes, very much so. The one problem is they are very extended, and Impaler, we'll see if he can make anything of this. He is stood right on top of a ward, so Reckless and Yellowstar, both with their flashes and their heals, they should be able to make it out. Looking at the summoner spells, neither of the mid laners took teleports. Selfie, of course, is going to be looking for some more damage, and when comboed with the Dr. Mundo release in, maybe he's going to have enough damage to ignite to secure a kill. Look at the difficulty here for Mima, but the interesting thing is, because Soaz has spent so much time trying to focus and harass Mima, he's actually behind on CS. So if Mima can farm up this wave equally with Soaz, he's going to maintain the CS advantage. But Cyanide wants to ruin his day.
Mima not close to hitting that level 6 point where he's got the extra safety of the regen of his ultimate, and Soaz has started to push this wave in. Cyanide surely he's going to come out from this one, and we can see, or can't see, Mima and starts to back away, but Cyanide headed him off, and that will be first blood. Fnatic not really taking damage either, only Soaz there took 2 turret hits, and that was really, really well executed.
That was just all too easy for Fnatic. Mima made a small mistake trying to back away, and just forgot that Cyanide was going to be there. So instantly gets dropped. First blood secured by Soaz as well. Now we'll see if Peke can get away. That's a great stun.
That is a brilliant stun. Impaler stopped in his tracks there as he tries to throw out that Q, and Peke not messing around in this mid lane. I think it expected that Impaler was going to be visiting there, considering that the top lane and the bottom lane were both free of any sort of jungle presence whatsoever, and read them like a book. Meanwhile, Selfie going very low. There is a polymorph coming in. Will Peke try this one? Either way, he's forced a flash from Selfie.
So Xpeke just really stamping an authority on this mid lane. So he manages to avoid the gank, and he burns the summoner spell from Selfie. He hasn't even hit level 6 yet. So if he can take advantage of this small window or small level gap, maybe he can get him.
That's it. That's the kill he was looking for. The stun landing at maximum range. He flashes in, puts down the ignite with an auto attack. And because how low he got Selfie earlier on and that flash was already gone, it's an easy kill for Peke.
Yeah, you have to question why Selfie was sticking around. He was so low on HP, he knew he didn't have flash, maybe just underestimating the stun range. Unfortunately, Yellowstar does throw a hook wide. I also want to call out that Yellowstar starts with a Relic Shield this matchup, and the reason I highlight that, during all of Super Week, when playing Thresh, Yellowstar started with the Ancient Coin. He was working towards the Talisman of Ascension. So his aggressive playstyle in lane is most likely attributed to the fact that he's got the Relic. And we should also highlight that because it's a 2v2 lane matchup, you get more combat stats and more combat power from that GP10 than you do from the coin, which you know, could theorize works that way. Soaz was 6, by the way, so he did knock Mima backwards.
He did knock Mima backwards, and he flashes there over onto the barrel, and that, again, I'm afraid for the Super Hot crew, looked far too easy for Fnatic.
Second time again, and that's Mima with the Negatron cloak. You know, Mima already teleported back to lane, only to be giving another kill away to Soaz and Cyanide. And it's just a matter of the two of them just synergizing so very well. You know, we touched on Cyanide starting with Evelyn as opposed to Elise. I actually think both of them could potentially have set those ganks up, but it's a good start for Cyanide because if he can get some tanky stats, it's going to allow him to flank and get to the back line of Super Hot Crew even earlier, thanks to a strong start to this game.
And I think after 7 minutes, our vote from who's going to have the better time in the top lane may have swung somewhat. 2-0-0 for Soaz. Rod of Ages is almost done. Cyanide getting himself those couple of assists as well, as we see the blue buff. First one of the game being given over to Selfie here in this mid lane for the Super Hot Crew. They're currently 2,000 gold behind, just 7.5 minutes into it.
Yeah, I would dare say, though, the Super Hot Crew composition, with the exception of maybe Lee Sin, does need some time to scale up. Cogmore needs his items. Lulu's going to need items. Even Dr. Mundo is going to need the Spirit Visage and, you know, some more HP before he can really tank up on the front line. So on the assumption that Super Hot Crew can defend their towers, they may be able to pull this one back. But they can't afford to keep giving up kills, and very importantly, they can't afford to give up dragons or multiple towers back to back. Because if Fnatic can string together a few thousand gold lead more, it may be too far ahead for Super Hot Crew to pull back.
And always the question with these later game compositions, how close can you keep the game? And Soaz going to go in there once again onto Mima. Mima is going to pop his ultimate here. Not sure if Soaz has got enough damage, but that barrel will keep him very, very low. The regen from his ultimate just about saving him, but again, the pressure continues, and Soaz has now started to take the lead in terms of the farm as well.
Yeah, he's completely got control of that top lane. Mima is not having a very good time of it, and he can't deal with the range and the percentage HP damage that Soaz's Gragas is putting out. Every time Soaz charges up that W, he's going to go in for the Drunken Rage hit. And Mima, who's going to be building and stacking up those hit points, it just makes the damage increase. It's part of the reason that Soaz is chunking him down. So, good strong start by Fnatic. They haven't made any objective-based plays, but with the backing, you know, Soaz having teleport available, potentially his Rod of Ages, the makings of Blade of the Ruined King, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fnatic make a play for Dragon in the next few minutes.
Also rather surprised that Peke's been left pretty much to his own devices outside of that one failed gank earlier on from Impaler. I don't really want to call it a failed gank, I'll call it a good read from Peke earlier on. He's absolutely dominating this mid lane, got himself that kill, is a good chunk ahead in farm, and look at this, Cyanide and Yellow Star already starting off the Dragon, knowing that the Super Hot Crew's bottom lane had gone back after pushing out the wave. This is the first Dragon of the game, and it's going to Fnatic without any kind of fight from the Super Hot Crew.
Just very intelligent play. Fnatic using the recalls and the shopping time to secure an uncontested and a safe Dragon. So they get an even larger gold lead, and interestingly, in terms of the backs, Mr. Rolls grabbed himself that Zeal and Phage. So because he's going for Trinity Force first, he's looking for a slightly larger power spike than the Blade of the Ruined King. We'll touch on that in a second, as this is going to turn into a 2v2.
Oh, there's a kick on towards Peke. Peke may well be in trouble. He is going to go down. Impaler will surely follow with this one, though. And there's the TP. Yellow Star appears as well. And that will be the double kill for Cyanide. And again, Fnatic reading them like a book. Yellow Star appearing out of seemingly nowhere. This should be the tower as well.
Yeah, they've just got a minion wave behind them with a siege minion, and Fnatic will secure the first tower of the game. They get more kills to their name, and even though Selfie and Impaler had a very good setup to kill Peke, they just didn't anticipate that very fast response, and they just get shut down.
And surely that's what they mentioned in the pre-game video as well, that Impaler's in the enemy jungle here. He said himself that he dies stupidly sometimes because he doesn't expect the reaction from them. It was actually him that set up the kill, but the quick reactions of Soaz coming down with TP of Yellow Star, who was already well underway when that fight kicked off. Fnatic do it again to the Super Hot Crew.
And they're just going to continue to grow this lead. Look at the vision that Fnatic have given themselves in the red buff area of the Super Hot Crew. That's 1, 2, 3, 5 wards down in the jungle camp, just thanks to Yellow Star roaming around, moving into the jungle, again, taking advantage of Super Hot Crew's back timing, their recall timing. On the side of the Super Hot Crew, we only see 2 sweeping lenses, so they need to do a better job of clearing that vision out, because Fnatic can just keep making all of these informed decisions. Notice how Reckless and Yellow Star are playing super safe, because they notice Selfie backing away. So for me, Super Hot Crew need to change to more sweeping lenses and deny vision if they want to try pull themselves back into control of this game.
We saw Lee Sin hanging around this bottom lane, constantly pulling off the recall. It looks like this time he will finally be going completely home and won't stick around, so nothing gained for Impaler down on this bottom side. And we also heard that Yellowstar, a big reason for Fnatic's vision control, he got himself that sight stone at an earlier period, which of course is going to give him more time to walk around, particularly that bottom side. Of Selfie here is going to be jumped on by Cyanide and Peke. Not a lot of mana left for Peke as Impaler comes in, the wild growth helping Selfie to escape.
Yeah, Impaler did not want to be there. He's got no additional MI and he would have been popped just as quickly. You touched on the fact that Yellowstar's got the sight stone. I also want to highlight the fact that he sold his relic shield and he has picked up the ancient coin. So again, Yellowstar is trending towards that talisman of ascension. Fnatic and Yellowstar in particular put a high importance on the mobility that that item gives you. And I want to see if he's going to rush complete that before anything else, because I would go as far as to say he's the only Thresh that is prioritizing that talisman so highly. So, nevertheless, Fnatic group themselves up. They've got a lot of support in this top lane. They put Reckless up top along with Yellowstar, trying to deny Mima even further, push him away, and Fnatic going to grab uncontested tower.
Yep, 2 turrets for Fnatic. Reckless will just let those minions be taken down. Meanwhile, Fnatic stole away the blue buff there, which Cyanide will gratefully take, but the Super Hot Crew are going to try for something of their own. The Fnatic blue buff actually came up quite a bit later than that of the Super Hot Crews. However, Soaz might be in trouble here. He's going to, of course, have his body slam just to move away if needs be, and Fnatic are looping round now.
Yeah, look at the numbers. Fnatic have got the support. If Soaz lands a good explosive cask, they could get a kill here.
They're going to go for, there's a flash from Kasing, and Force really seeing the rest of that Fnatic team starting to close in on them. Not much that Kasing could do, and Fnatic going to secure here both blue buffs, one for the jungler, one for the mid laner.
I have to give so much props to Fnatic. After they were pushing around and they got those kills around the mid lane, the team was thinking a few steps ahead. They pulled Reckless back to push out the top wave. Not only did they have Reckless to push out the top wave, their timing was so good that they could steal away that blue buff as well. So Fnatic are invading Super Hot Crew's jungle, are moving around the map, and because of the movements of the carries, it makes Super Hot Crew second guess and doubt themselves. Yellowstar, he wants to kill a Mima.
Oh, good play, but the flash from Mima comes out, and that got him out of range of that hook. Did have to pop his ultimate and use the summoning spell as well. Good placement of the lantern for Yellowstar to actually bring Reckless up to speed when it came to that little fight that went on in the top lane. And Fnatic continue their so far dominant performance over the Super Hot Crew. Not quite at the 15-minute mark by now, but we can see already a healthy gold lead for Fnatic. And again, Yellowstar says, okay, I can leave Reckless safely now in this top lane. I'm just going to go back to sweeping out a few wards and seeing what I can do. And I mentioned earlier that the sight stone that he's had forever over that of Kasing, the boots of mobility play a big role in being able to move around the map. And we've only just seen Kasing taking the sweeping lens there as well. So we're only just seeing him being able to do something similar to what Yellowstar's already been doing for what feels like 10 minutes already.
Yeah, I would dare say it's a tiny bit late, but better late than never. And on the topic of those boots of mobility, Selfie has also picked up boots of mobility. So he's going to be looking to move around this map all that much quicker, and very importantly, impact or defend those side lanes. If you look at Super Hot Crew's team composition, he's also the only real safe wave clear. Very cheeky, Cyanide. So for Selfie, there's going to be a lot of importance in getting into position and defending the right towers. Actually, I think Selfie might get dove here. Look at Yellowstar and Cyanide's positioning. They might want blood.
Ooh, damage coming in as well. Selfie will get away for now, but get away from a turret that needed defending here. The final outer turret that's left of the game. The Super Hot Crew is starting to close around. Cyanide has gone back to the tri-bush there to be the first line of defense for his duo lane down bottom. They'll take that turret and be able to back away. Oh, or will they? Impaler's actually coming here. Gonna get the slowdown on towards Yellowstar, but he might have to back away. The TP coming in now from Gragas down the bottom. So as though a touch late on that, as we did see the safeguard away from Impaler, but that basically frees them up somewhat for Dragon now.
Yes, so Dragon was always going to be the objective. Fnatic were pushing that bottom lane to get the tower and then set themselves up for a Dragon play. Impaler almost gifted the Dragon because he tried to catch them off. He tried to set up a kill, and obviously it backfires. So Impaler loses his flash. Fnatic grab themselves another Dragon this game, and you notice in the picture-in-picture, Mima couldn't even secure that top lane tower. So Fnatic just continuing to exert their presence and their control in this game. 4 sweeping lenses and the scrying orb as far as their trinkets are concerned. So vision and vision denial very, very important for the team. And Fnatic still with very good deep wards in Super Hot Crew's jungle.
And we'll go back to that point from earlier that Super Hot Crew, whilst being behind, they have a team that are going to be getting stronger. The question is, how far behind are they going to be when that happens? As Impaler here, going to get set upon by Yellow Star, and Soaz dashes over the wall. He's going to throw down the first barrel. A lot of damage coming in. Actually takes the Lantern as the hook lands, but that's not going to be followed upon, as Reckless also was slowed by Dr. Mundo on that top side.
So the thing for Super Hot Crew, as you touched on their scaling, the important factor is going to be peeling and protection for Mr. Ralls. If Syndra or Gragas are able to pop their ultimates onto Cogmore, that could be enough to just melt him. He's only got a Trinity Force completed in 17 minutes, so Super Hot Crew need to stall significantly further. They need to get more items on Mr. Ralls, and then very importantly, they need to put him in a position where he can just pop down that Bio-Arcane Barrage from his W and spam out damage. If he is ever out of position, he can just get melted. He can just get completely destroyed. So we need to see how carefully Mr. Ralls places himself. He has yet to give up a kill in this game, but when he does, it'll be his second death against Fnatic in split.
Yeah, actually having to go at the Y. Meanwhile, Cyanide will just be clearing out the wards and trying to secure another Super Hot Crew blue buff for his teammate, and there it is, going over to Peke, who hits level 13, which is 2 levels above his opposite number, who himself is trying to get some farm down on his bottom side. No real pressure onto the tower, though. Reckless was already there to make sure that that wasn't going to continue.
So you're talking about pressure. Peke, when he set his 300 CS farm record, was playing Orianna against the Lulu. What we are noticing more and more this split is how little lane presence and pressure Lulus are offering. We did see a decent gank attempt on Peke, burned his flash. But again, Lulu in the mid lane is just not scary enough to many other mid laners. And, you know, Selfie's been bullied around. Even with an early gank attempt by Impaler, it was thwarted by Peke Syndra, and Selfie's just had a torrid time in that mid lane, which is arguably why he's moved to this bottom lane to CS, try to get away from Peke and farm himself up to a position of power.
We're not all that far away from 10,000 gold being Fnatic's lead at this stage, and we've not hit that 20-minute mark yet, so Super Hot Crew need to play this one safe for a little while longer. Try and get in there maybe for a sneaky dragon attempt or a steal. For Impaler, it might even be worth it for him at this point to just dive in there as Lee Sin and try and outsmite Cyanide, but that's all ifs and buts and not exactly something that you want to be relying on to be able to come back and be able to win a game. As we can look down some of the other items here as well. The needlessly large rod was picked up by Peke and the Fiendish Codex. He's going in towards his DFG, and once that comes in, I'm not sure what's going to be able to save anyone from Syndra.
No, not a whole lot. And when he built his DFG Syndra last week, he was just waiting for somebody to jump into his face. It was against Millennium, and Kotinex was running Kha'Zix. And all Peke did is waited for Kha'Zix to jump on either himself or Reckless, and then just throw everything at the bug. And even if it didn't kill Kotinex, there was so much damage put down in such a short space of time that Reckless or the rest of Fnatic could finish him out. And look at this, they've caught Selfie.
Yeah, Selfie was trying to have a go at Reckless down the bottom. There's the hook landing, and Selfie not going to escape this one. Yellow Star actually will be picking up the kill from that one to go 1-0-1. Meanwhile, Mima and Soaz having a bit of an altercation up top. Soaz still has his ultimate here if he really needs to throw that one down. In the end, he doesn't particularly. Mima had already got his ultimate running from that one, and with less than 2 minutes to go for the Dragon, the Selfie dying again. He's not having the game of his life. Those boots of mobility that he picked up earlier, not quick enough, even being Lulu, to get away from the danger of Fnatic.
Definitely not. The most interesting thing over the last minute was the fact that Mima seemed to push Soaz away. Mima does have that giant spell, he does have the Spirit Visage picked up, so if he's mitigating all the damage Soaz is putting down to the point that he can duel him, then that's obviously a good position for the Super Hot Crew, but they can't even defend the tower. Remember, Selfie's Lulu is the safe wave clear. Yes, Voidoo's and Living Artillery from Cogmore is going to do something to help, but it's certainly not a insta-give wave clear spell when you're building him Triforce and working towards Flare the Ring King.
I said earlier that they can't afford to lose a tower and then a dragon in a row, but Unfortunately, it looks like that's the way it could be going down here for Fnatic. Taking that inner middle turret. We've seen Reckless going home to shop. That's giving him the almost ghost blade here as he comes back in. There's 1,000 gold on the support and the jungler still to spend, and they'll be back just in time to that bottom side of the map to have the dragon away when 30 seconds spawn is up.
Once again, I just have to give, a huge amount of props to Fnatic. With a minute left before Dragon respawns, they push the mid lane down, they get the inner mid turret from Super Hot Crew, and then they back out through the jungle to place wards. Those wards have just been cleared out by Super Hot Crew mostly, but nevertheless the decision making is very, very smart, and it's showing the Fnatic are planning a few steps ahead. And it's part of the reason they've got this 9,000 gold lead. The problem for Super Hot Crew is they need to capitalize on a Fnatic mistake, because with the gold difference in terms of itemization, if they just go toe-to-toe in a straight-up 5v5 fight, I don't think that they can win. So we'll see if Impaler can set himself up a steal. I think that Dragon's too far away and he's planning to flash over.
And he goes through. They've got the vision there as Impaler inside of the Dragon Pit. Can he steal it? No, he can't. He's going to lose out on that and gets hooked and finished off by Reckless. And that's a kill. And that is the Dragon going over to Fnatic, the third of the game.
And the reason I said flash over is if Impaler was going to jump in there with his Safeguard W, the cooldown was going to be not available for him to jump back to a teammate. So fortunately Impaler tries a moment, but Cyanide is well known for securing objectives, whether it's his or his opponent's. And unfortunately, Super Hot Crew, 11,000 gold. This is just now a slow strangle. Fnatic have got complete control of the map, complete control of the objectives, and it is just a matter of time before Fnatic decide to siege up more towers. Hell, they don't even need to siege, they can just sneak one away, because Super Hot Crew aren't here.
I was going to say, they're already doing a good job of this one as a hot comes through. Selfie sidesteps. We see the talisman there that Yellowstar swapped out earlier on, and that will get them away to safety. The DFG for Peke is there as well. And overall, Fnatic in a commanding position. We can see that Selfie actually picking up an elixir there, so he obviously feels that he's really behind in this one and needs that power now, or certainly what could be in the coming moments. I mean, at this stage, Fnatic don't really need Baron, but they're in such a good position even if they were to force a fight there.
With all of the objectives and the farm that Peke has over Selfie's Lulu, it's close to 2,500 gold. Actually, it's 2,700 gold difference between Selfie's Lulu and Peke's Syndra. And while Peke hasn't spent 1,300 of that, that is a massive, massive difference at 24 minutes into the game. And there's not enough MR or defensive stats on anyone except Mima. So Peke should be able to just blow anybody up that's in range. The problem for Super Hot Crew is they've fallen so far behind in laning phase. I struggle to see how they can, regain control of this game without forcing Fnatic to make mistakes. But again, they do scale. You do always need to remember, a late game Kog'Maw, in theory, can do a lot. But you need to get there first, and a Trinity Force Vamp Scepter is not terrifying in 25 minutes.
No, especially if you compare that to his opposite number, Blade of the Rune King, Ghost Blade, got a BF sword in there as well. And we can see Fnatic getting the wards cleared out and placed up by the Baron. Just want to touch on the top lane and say, because a couple of big items have come out there with the Iceborne Gauntlet for Soaz and the Warmog's armor on the other side for Mima. So he's going to be that tankier beast than he was before, but what is that going to offer him if Fnatic have got all these extra items over them? Randuin's, for example, on Cyanide there as well. And we see in this bottom lane, there's a bit of a conflict going on as Peke going to get caught out in the middle. He's going to take the support with him, but Fnatic are doing Baron. There's a TP coming in there as well, and I'm not sure that the Super Hot Crew even know it.
Now, there's no vision here. Even if Super Hot Crew try to respond, they will be too late. So Peke gives up his life to secure what will end up being a fairly safe Baron. And look at that single auto attack there from Selfie onto Selfie, just melts his HP. I want to touch on the fact that Soaz and Mima were going toe-to-toe for a moment, but we didn't see the extent of the fight. And we need to see how much damage Soaz has. He does have that Iceborne Gauntlet completed, making him the mini Kassadin, and that's a lot of bursts.
Wow, we see the Wild Growth throwing out there by Selfie. Soaz already walking towards that turret. Is he going to dive it? He is going to dive it, and with the flash body slam, locks up the kill, loses very little health. Meanwhile, they've caught Impaler there in pretty much no man's land. That's Fnatic territory. I'm not sure why Impaler was there, and Fnatic running away with this game.
They've ran away with it.
Well, they have, yes.
They're in absolute control. From the very moment this game started, the laning phase went every single way, went completely in Fnatic's way, rather, is what I'm trying to say. Unfortunately for Super Hot Crew, their late game protector Cogmore team comp simply just got destroyed. Cyanide has had so many good ganks in the top lane, and Soaz has pulled a lot of threat. Soaz has been a frustrating thorn in Super Hot Crew's side, and it's just a very, very good demonstration of map play, of picks and bans, and in-game decision-making. And now Mima, he's actually thinking of picking a fight here.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's tanky enough to have a go at this one, but we see on the other side, Yellowstar flashing in there. Kasing going to take damage. Is he going to fall? Not quite. A lot of ping-pong onto Reckless as well, but he's able to get away. Mima, in the meantime, still trying to get in. Peke is pushing the bottom lane out, and Selfie just can't deal with Peke at this point. The Wild Growth having to be used. Stun coming in. Is Peke going to throw his ulti down? Yes, he is, and it's an easy 1v1, and if you can't deal with the Syndra that's split pushing, how are you ever going to protect your base?
Peke just melts through Selfie, and you know, in this previous fight, there was no protection for Mr. Oz. The rest of Super Hot Crew were trying to dive onto Soaz on the right-hand side, and they just left Mr. Oz, alone. So Peke's on the bottom lane, the rest of Fnatic are on the top lane, and it's just a matter of what's going to break first. Minion waves running out. Peke seems to be backing away, but that 50% HP on both towers reduced.
Not sure how the Super Hot Crew are going to be able to hold out on this one. They've still got 10 seconds until Selfie comes back onto the map. Does have that Void Staff in. Picked that one up a little bit earlier on as the hook comes on towards Impaler. Finished off there by Reckless, who's now on a killing spree, and that will be enough to open up this turret, and Fnatic take their 7th of the game.
They're going to get me. They've hooked Mima.
Oh, they've hooked Mima, and he is tanky, as I said before, but the culling going to do all the damage. Yellowstar actually stealing that one away. Reckless did get a bit of retribution as he does take down Selfie pretty much directly after Selfie spawned in. Meanwhile, Peke had still continued that push down the bottom lane, and I think Fnatic can just win it here with 3 men dead.
Yeah, there's not enough resistance from the Super Hot Crew. The rest of Fnatic have got the numbers, got a Nexus turret down, and it's just been absolute destruction. 0-6-1 on Selfie, 1-4-1 on Impaler. They simply did not have the impact they were hoping for this game. Fnatic playing it perfectly.
There is the finisher, and Fnatic pick up another win here. 4 out of 4 in Super Week. This is a scary looking Fnatic as well. I mean, we're talking about the Super Hot Crew here, a team who did well for themselves in Super Week as well, and have looked to really improve every single time that we've seen them since they switched to the support. But this game, they were far behind before they had anything to say about it.
Yeah, there's actually an interesting shift in power at the top of the table. SK was holding on to those top 2 spots for a while, but with their loss this morning, they're now 11 wins, 8 losses. With Fnatic's victory today, they are 12 wins, 7 losses. They got 1 win more, 1 loss less. And they play each other again tomorrow. SK are slipping, they're losing their grip on the top of the table, and Fnatic are just cresting. From the beginning of the spring split where they looked shaky, they looked weak, they are growing in confidence, they are growing in decision making, and why are people still giving Yellowstar Thresh?
And why do we ever expect anything else from Fnatic other than they peak at the right time in the year? They look decidedly dodgy. If you look back to early stages of the year where we thought, ooh, we even said it ourselves, is this time where Fnatic, drops their crown and aren't able to pick up another split? Well, obviously Alliance have something still to say about that. We've still got a way to go, but they have improved so much over the last couple of weeks.
They have, and on the other side of the coin, the Super Hot Crew got 3-1 last week. It doesn't look like they even showed up.
No.
It doesn't look like the same team that played phenomenally last week against Fnatic. Fnatic just completely strangled any decision they made. Any gank that Impaler attempted got shut down. Lanes went in favor of Fnatic, and Super Hot Crew were just dancing to Fnatic's beat the entire game.
We saw that top lane Gragas pick from Soaz, and the fact that we've been seeing it so much more often these days, ending 3-0 constant pain really for the entire Super Hot team. Super Hot Crew team, that's what they're really called. Either way, let's move on from that. Shox is on stage with Fnatic Soaz, so let's send it over there.
Thank you very much, Joe. Congratulations, Soaz. Another victory here for Fnatic, and the Gragas, the 2nd time today we saw it come out, and I can imagine that might be a champion that you really like in this meta, so talk me through how it fits your style.
Well, Gragas is kind of a utility tank champion top lane, so of course it fits my style. I like to play more utility champion than carry top laners, so yeah, I practiced Gragas quite a lot this week, and just played it today.
Yeah, it was very good. And when they last locked in the Mundo, a little birdie called Aranea told us that you guys might have been expecting the Mundo. Weren't you guys afraid that as the game went very late, it might be too hard to kill him?
I knew that at some Gragas early levels was way stronger than Mundo, but I knew that at some point he would beat me, and I couldn't really stand 1v1, just clear the wave maybe. But we had really good advantage top lane early on, so we just snowball. I could snowball quite a lot from that, and I didn't try to punish him as hard, but more rotate and get dragons and stuff like this.
Well, another victory for you guys, so that worked out very well. In your eyes, how far is the Fnatic now as you guys are playing away from the Fnatic that has won 3 consecutive splits? How far are you away from that level?
A bit, not that far, but the problem we had before is we couldn't close up the game, and right now we still have this good early game that we have and good champ select. But we tend to close up the game way easier and better than before. So if we keep playing like this as we play today, we will do pretty good, I think.
I think so too. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for us to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to break down this game with Officio and D-Man, and Alliance will take on Millennium. Stay right here.
Mima, how does my hair look? 1 out of 10 jellycoos.
What?
1 out of 10 jellycoos. It means he's not very jelly at all.
We'll touch on that in a second, and this is going to turn into a 2v2.
Oh, there's a kick on towards Peke. Peke may well be in trouble. He is going to go down. Impaler will surely follow with this one, though. And there's the TP. Yellow Star appears as well. Soaz already walking towards that turret. Is he going to dive it? He is going to dive it. And with the flash body slam, they poked Mimer. And he is tanky, as I said before, but the culling going to do all the damage. Yellow Star actually stealing that one away.